also you have a fascinating story because I mean, you're Hungarian, but you're raised in London. So I'm curious a bit about that. So,
Well, it's yeah. So I am a native Hungarian.
right.
My parents are Hungarian,
Hmm.
but I was a very, very, very small baby when we moved to London. I
Right.
think, a year and a half old, hardly two, something like that. And that was because of my dad's job. We had to travel around quite a lot. He was in athletics, so something completely different.
Oh, sports,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, we are a sports family. I mean, well, they are a sports family, and I am. I mean, I did some sports, and like as a dancer.
Listen, I've seen those pictures of you, jumping in splits on the beach. So, yeah, you're still very much a sports family still. So,
Yeah, like so the physicality, obviously, and like he was a track and field athlete, so he was a sprinter, and obviously that muscle work, the dynamics of it all, it's obviously part of my. I do feel the benefits of that in my dancing. I jump. I hate pirouettes. I'm not great at. I mean, that's not true. I'm decent at pirouettes, but it's not my thing. I jump, obviously. So, yeah, yeah. Anyway, yes. So we moved to London and we lived in London until I was 4.5 or something like that.
okay.
From um, and yeah. So that's the massive first part of my life. So for
Yeah,
me,
and then did you move back to Hungary after that?
no, we
No.
went on to Monaco.
Well,
And
I'm sorry. I take it back. I apologize.
I know. It sounds pretty cool. But to be fair, for a kid, it doesn't really like it's nothing special for a kid. It's just like,
Mm.
yay, the weather was nice, but like everything that's Monaco for an like an adult, it's not for a kid, it's just like it's
Yeah,
just
so not a lot of champagne and
not,
parties in your
not
when you're
back then.
4.5. Okay, so
Yeah.
then you went to Monaco, and okay, now I've got so many questions. But let's start with. I mean, obviously, I mean, the formative years in London, then Monaco. Did you end up going? Where else did you go? I mean, let's get that. Let's have a map real quick.
Well, to live, that's it. So then we moved back to Hungary when I was 8. So
Right. So four
middle of
4 years. So for once an Olympic, you moved. Right. Get it.
yeah, and so then we moved back to Hungary, and I stayed there for quite a while.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to London. It was always London for me, being like probably
Mm.
because it's really the first four, well, not the first 4 5 years, but like quite a bit of those years of my
Yeah.
life, and there's just that connection to the first things that you notice as a child, like the
Yeah.
things
Of
that you
course.
bond with. So I think that's what took me back to London. And I
And then
always wanted. Yeah, sorry.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead. I was just wondering about you. So from the age of 8, you lived in Hungary for quite some time.
Yes,
Okay, and then you moved back to London at what age?
at 20. Well, I started my masters when I was 28.
Okay,
The
so you
20,
like
yeah.
no, okay, cool. No, like just I've got a timeline in my head because that's a lot. That's a lot of interesting things that happened there. But okay, go ahead. So you moved back to London because you always felt obviously first experiences in London. That must have been amazing, just as a kid. Like, oh my god, massive building, massive bus. What's this?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Like that. Yeah, that's there's a lot of like very kind and dear memories to me of that age, which are like
Oh,
very yeah, like it's nice, it's nice. So I always had this sense of like I actually feel more at home in London. Because when we moved back to Hungary, I was 8 years old. It was like a completely new world. So we go London, we go Monaco, we go Hungary. I mean,
yeah. So your life got from a living standard point of view, it just got more interesting and interesting every 4 years. You
yeah,
just
let's
realize the bosses get smaller, is what you're trying to say.
definitely, definitely. Yeah. Well, let's just say that I had like quite an intense experience of all the extremities.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. I'm curious now because obviously you're mentioning this already, so this is fantastic. So, I mean, at age of 4, again, as you said, you don't really notice massive changes between London and Monaco. I'm guessing you're just annoyed that you don't see the stuff that you were used to seeing. But the age of 8, when you're going to school, does that stand out to you? It's like, oh, I'm in a country like I speak the language, but I'm not from here.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually really difficult. Because I felt like an alien all the time. I was 8 years old and I did speak Hungarian, obviously. But the thing with languages for me is that when I just imagine like I'm a year and a half, 2 years old, I'm in London. Until that point in your life, your family, your environment talks to you in one language.
Yeah.
Also not true because my mother has had this thing. She was speaking German to me because she used to live in Germany for a long time, and
And she wanted you to know the lingo.
yeah, and I didn't speak German back to her. I spoke Hungarian all the time. Well, all the time. I was a baby, so not all the time, maybe, but like like.
But
So
the Goo Goo Gaga wasn't Hungarian, is what you're saying.
very well said, yeah. And but then, so what happened was I went into like kindergarten and all that, and it just all became very confusing. That like
Yeah.
all languages trying to get into that one tiny little head. Then moving over to Monaco, which is a third language, right? So that's French.
Right.
And then being only 8 years old, coming back home to Hungary, suddenly being like, now this is your main language, you need to speak Hungarian, surrounded by kids. And you know how kids are, like kids are just honest, like you will be weird. You're the girl who's like, I don't know how to say this. Sorry, I didn't have an accent in Hungarian, but it was like, like that, like little,
yeah, the word. You're looking for the word and things like that. Yeah.
which I do in English now. So it's like, that's always there, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is funny. Once you speak, like, how many, like, do you speak French and German as well then? So you speak 4 languages?
I do.
No, I'm only on 3. I dabble in German, but I would love to, like, get it up to scratch. But, yeah, I mean, it does happen. Like, so my stepmom's Romanian. My dad and my stepmom, they speak Romanian. My mom speaks Hungarian. Most of my pals are Scottish, English. I use English on a regular basis. I try to keep it up by listening to podcasts and whatever, music. I'll put the radio on from back home just to like keep the words going. But every now and again, you're like, how do I say something so banal that I know I used to be able to say it, and then what's the word for a hammer? Come on.
I know. That's exact frustration. That's it's something very, very peculiar. That's like, yeah, I know.
It's irritating on the brain. It's like,
and it's there both ways. So
yeah.
I think I just have to accept it really and just be like, it's fine. Like I speak 4 languages. If someone can't accept me thinking for a word, just, I don't know.
Bugger off.
I'm in Hungary right now and I'm leading rehearsals in Hungarian, which I haven't done in a very long time. And you know what? It's a massive pain because what happens is that I try to say it and I finish the sentence starting in an English word. I'm like, oh gosh, what do people think of me? Like, I come in here. I look like I don't speak Hungarian anymore. Of course I do. It's just like in the process of like being like, in it, your brain just picks the word, but maybe it doesn't pick it in the correct language that you're trying to use.
And also, you're talking about technical terms, right? And technical language is very specific, and it's not like it's easily translatable because it has its own very specific. Every language has their own terms for stuff, especially when you get technical. So it becomes even more like the phrases are very distinctive. I'm a waiter, in my day job, and when I get customers that are Hungarian, sometimes I'm like, how do I say second course? Like. Második fogás. I'm like, I actively, I do challenge myself. If I get someone who's from Hungary or from Romania, I will serve them in that language just because I want to, practice. But it is, it's not as quick as I want it to be sometimes. I'm like, okay, just slow down. Just go at your own pace. Something's better than nothing. But yeah, absolutely. It happens to me. I said sorry to my mom in English the other day on the phone. I was like, boy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.